Friends, we are discussing inbound and outbound logistics. If the raw material is coming from suppliers to manufacturer, it is known as inbound logistics. If the material is to be transported from manufacturer to distributor to final consumer, then it is a outbound logistics. There are, with the advancement in technology, with the help of ICT tools, the supply chain management is now an integrated supply chain with the help of IT tools. In the previous sessions, you have understood that logistic management plays a crucial role in the survival, even I can say survival of a company. Now, in this session, you will be able to explain the logistic with the help of one illustration. You will also able to differentiate the logistic need for rural area and logistic need for the urban area. Then what is the difference between these two, you will able to differentiate. After this session, you will understand the various problems that are involved in the logistics support. Now we are coming to explain you logistics with the help of one illustration. Suppose a material X has to move from Bihar, which is a famous for lot of ores and raw materials and raw material responsible in shaping our products. Let me be more specific in saying so. Some minerals from Sasaram have to be moved to Surat in Gujarat for making some product Y. The road distance worked out closely to be approximately 1600 kilometers, quite a lot as per the Indian standard. The truck loaded with X leaves Sasaram on D day, where D is 1, that is the first day. As per the Indian road condition, it could take any time between 3 to 4 days for material to reach to the destination, that is Surat in Gujarat. Therefore, total time work out to be 3 or D plus 3 by D plus 4, that is 3 to 4 days. That means either it will reach 4th day or it will reach 5th day. Now uploading the half day or taking half day as a uploading time, the running time may be between 4.5 to 5.5. Thereafter, quality checks and various processes to place these raw materials on production line will take another 2 days, work out to be 6.5 days to 7.5 days. Now just take production time 1 to 2 days depending on the type of product, work out to be 7.5 days to 8.5 days. Keeping a cushion of 1 day, the time taken for finished product will be anything between 9 to 10 days. That is planning involved in making a finished product and achieving your target. That is under the absolute and ideal condition. When we say there is no strike, there is no breakdown, so within 9 to 10 days we will get the finished product. India is subjected to numerous disruptions in the form of natural calamities, man-made obstructions, disaster and accident and unrest. So this 9 to 10 days that are coming, that is in ideal conditions. One has to cater for all these criticalities, and therefore foresight in planning is must. Suppose there is a flood like situation at Sasaram, then what you will do? One has to plan for warehousing near the Surat, where certain stock catering to these kinds of contingency have to be catered for ab initio. Like floods, there could be strike, there could be band also. You will appreciate why we are discussing it. If you remember that in case of any flood-like situation, the material or the raw material will not be transported from Sasaram to Surat. Now, in Surat we have a production plant or the production unit. In case of absence of availability of raw material, the Surat plant will stop work. So, there is a need of a stock keeping in warehouse near Surat. The production may not get hampered. Similarly, in case of Surat also, there are chances of a strike, so we have to keep the semi-finished product or finished product in stock to maintain the downstream chain of the supply chain. These are the gray areas that needs to be addressed in totality, apart from the fact that the vehicle could also be break down en route. There could be a number of examples related to the movement of stocks and supplies, be it rail, water, road or air. All have their complexity and peculiarities, but the underlying the basics are the same. One has to plan ahead somewhat made to avoid the irregularities. In the coming example, we have taken to create a warehouse near Surat. A movement of supplies from supplier to manufacturer differs from place to place. Terrain plays a predominant role in this aspect, and you have to realize this point. In mountains, the criticalities are far too many, and one has to understand the criticality for the better management of logistic and better management of supply management. From the above, it is evident that criticalities in any form disrupt the movement in a big way, irrespective of terrain. But you got to plan your time schedule depending on the terrain on which your supplies are moving. Therefore, knowledge on these areas is very important, so that supplier cannot take you for granted on these accounts. Studies on geography and layout of an area of responsibility and related aspects are therefore important for a manager dealing with the logistics. Friends, we are discussing the logistic requirement in case of urban areas and in case of rural area. You will appreciate that India is a large country having a very different geographical location. Even that India has a different pockets having combination of rural and urban area at a regular interval. If you focus on rural area, they require tremendous amount of logistic support and coordination to make the supply chain management system effective. That is the lay of Indian society, and hence one has to understand and to be lived with the problem of rural areas. In fact, most of our supplies move generally from these rural areas, and hence you should be aware of these areas in a nutshell. Now, what we want to know the problems in these areas. Let us discuss them for a while. The criticalities pertaining to logistics in rural areas are large quantities and the more number of collection points. Distance between the manufacturer and users are large. Materials are bulky, perishable, expendable, and have the inferior packaging. Certain places have to be communicated through hand carts, tractors, boats, cycles, and bullock carts. Trips are generally one way and hence not cost effective. Uniformity in work is missing since the logistics are restricted to peak seasons only. A mix of intermediaries are direct delivery. Storage, movement and packaging of agro products are difficult and are time consuming. There are many more to this depending upon the nature of terrain and climatic conditions too. But these are the silent one, and you as a manager have to understand these aspects. The first one is trading in rural areas are difficult and is full of risk. Storage in rural areas is another criticality due to restriction in storage areas and because the agro products are seasonal in nature. These are to be consumed round the year, both in off-season and in season. Storage starts right from the time the harvest is ready till it is distributed to the consumers. Now, these are the various places which are available in case of rural area. At the farm of a farmer, we can store it. In the villages, we have a collection centers or collection point. Within processor, wholesaler, bins and self-help storerooms under the stringent condition. Then we have a retailer, we have a marketplace or selling point. So all these are the storage place which are available under the rural area availability. Now, what are the precautions one has to take in case of rural area? If we talk about the shelf life of a farm product, it is very less. if I take the example of milk, even paneer, curd, all these are some of the items. They have very short shelf life, and hence our infrastructure, logistic infrastructure is to be planned in such a way that we have a cold rooms and we have to keep a proper storage system for these items. Transport in rural areas still is primitive in nature, starting from bullock carts, cycles, handcart, rickshaw, van, boats, animal transport, and even the stragglers. So these are the few problems in rural areas. The transportation is bad because of bad condition of road and bad connectivity in India. India has one of the largest road network in the world with approximately more than 2.5 million kilometers of the road network. National highway accounts to be nearly more than 5,200 kilometers, which is barely 2% of the total road in the country. Actually, movement of goods from rural areas becomes expensive due to its handling cost and number of organizations involved in it. Now we will talk about the urban area. We select the rural area because of certain advantages. Sometimes we get the tax benefit, we get cheaper labor, we get cheap land. So all these makes us comfortable while selecting the rural area. But when we talk about the logistic management, there are certain problems which we have discussed. Now we will come to the urban area. Coming on to urban area, the process is certainly different since it does not go through the exercise of moving through bad roads too often or bad storage system. Things move more systematically and less time consuming through at times the carries pre-force or perforce move through difficult stretches of rural area, generally a mix of rural and urban area. In case of rural area, we are facing some difficulty in enforcing our carriers from bringing the material from one place to another place. This difficulty remains because we have a pocket of rural and urban areas. Now, what happens in urban areas? The procurement is generally done closer to home and very near to towns and cities. The supplier's job is to supply the goods in time frame and price is fixed initially. The company management generally contact the supplier who has nominated go down close to the pace of manufacture for better and even time management. Unlike rural areas, the supply is in the fastest mode delivery in case of urban area. We will save the time because we are using the combination of rail, air and road. Manufacturing tasks take less time in production and distribution. A better market is available to the manufacturer for his or her goods. Now it is evident that a manufacturer in the rural area stands at a disadvantageous position, while the manufacturer who is in the area of urban area, he enjoys certain benefits. Now, if you compare the rural and the urban area, there are certain issues, just like movement of raw material, transportation system, storage facility, production and preservation. If you see the distance from source to market, availability of skilled labor, communication facility, availability of electricity, in a nutshell, managing the supply chain involving a firm in rural area is much more difficult than the firm in the urban area. Now let us see some stages involved in moving finished product from manufacturer to the consumer. Let us now visualize the various stages involved in moving the finished product, just like packaging of goods, stocking them in warehouse or containerization, loading into carriers and transportation, storing to the nearest warehouse, moving goods from wholesaler to retailer, presenting goods by retailers to the marketplace or store, and delivering to the consumer. All these 7 stages are the 7 days of a week. It is difficult to skip one to save another. But there are few companies following the direct marketing. Therefore, time taken or the cost involved also differ in such cases. These companies do not have the retailers. They take the order and then deliver directly to the customer by avoiding or passing through the retailer. In this session, we have covered some issues related to the movement of material, both in case of inbound logistic and in case of outbound logistic. Last but not the least, we have also explained the various issues of supply chain management which are for the effective supply chain and logistic management. We have also understood what are the various ways in which we can differentiate the requirement in case of rural area or in case of urban area. It is true that to design a logistic system for rural area is difficult as compared to designing a logistic area for the urban area. In the coming slide or in the coming session, we are going to see what are the domains of logistic and what are the roles of logistic. After that session, we will also go through integration of logistic. What do you mean by the integration of logistic? We have explained you earlier that logistic does not have any meaning unless and until it is integrated. Therefore, integration of logistic is very essential for the company and for the supply chain of that particular company. Thank you. Friends, we were discussing about the stages involved in moving finished product from manufacturer to the consumer. Have you ever experienced about a delivery boy who is coming to deliver a product at your doorstep? Why the companies are encouraging this type of strategy in the logistic management is called as the last mile delivery. The various companies just like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Snapdeal, all these companies take online orders and delivers the product at the doorstep of the customer. Even in some cases, you need not to pay when you are ordering the product. You have to pay at the time of delivery. Now you just imagine or visualize the concept between this type of outbound logistics system. In this case, the company or the e-commerce company is linked with various manufacturers. As a customer, when you click online, the order simultaneously or instantaneously goes to the manufacturer also. And within a stipulated period of time, that manufacturer will deliver the product to the transporter, and transporter is also fixed. The last mile delivery is also fixed. They have all the mechanism, and with that mechanism, what they will do, they will take the product to the final consumer or final end customer. Another important strategy which I want to discuss in case of outbound logistics is the cross-docking. Cross-docking is the concept given by American company, that is Walmart. Now what they do, when they deliver or they take the product from the manufacturer without going to the retailer or without going to the warehouse, what they do, they simply transfer the load of trucks in a small units to small trucks which are meant for the specific retailers. This concept is known as cross-docking. Under this concept, we need not to store the material in a big warehouses, but from the outside of the warehouse or even along the roadside, we transfer the material or the product in the small truck, and that goes to the specific retailers. So these are the two major outbound logistic strategies which are used nowadays in a very well manner.